Well, as we've already seen this year, fake news can have some very real and even violent consequences. Like when Edgar Welch allegedly fired shots inside of a D.C. pizza place. The suspect was there allegedly investigating what's come to be known as Pizzagate, a conspiracy theory that was circulating online about a child sex slavery ring involving Democrats run out of the restaurant Comet Ping Pong. This is a pizza shop. Joining me now, Dan Abrams, who's chief legal affairs anchor for ABC News and was attacked online after calling out the Pizzagate story as 100% false. Dan, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So you can't do that anymore because they're like, my internet tells me it's so.
Well, or they say, my internet tells me this hasn't been investigated enough, right? So the burden now is on disproving conspiracy theories. So conspiracy theory gets thrown out there with no actual evidence, and then the people who want to believe it say to people who say, well, there's no evidence, this isn't true. The response is, well, that's because you haven't investigated it. And you create this sort of circular nonsense, which puts you in a position where there is no such thing as what's true and what's not true. And that's a dangerous place to be.
Right. But is it more dangerous right now than it was in the past?
Yes.
Do you feel like it's getting worse?
No question.
Why?
Social media. Because the bottom line is that now anyone is a media organization. Anyone who wants to share an item can and does do that, which is generally a good thing. The problem with that is that there's not a filter. Now, some people would say, well, the filter used to be terrible. The mainstream media filter was garbage. Well, it was better than this. And when I say this, I mean no filter at all, which is anything gets thrown out there, anything, people on Facebook. I mean, you watch some people and you say, where'd you get this information? Well, I saw it on Facebook. Well, and you know,
there's a fake article about me getting fired a couple months ago.
I'm sure there was.
Fired, like, oh, no, I was fired. I thought I'd find out by my security card not working any longer, not on Facebook.
Exactly.
But it was nonsense. Facebook had to come out and apologize for it, but this happens all the time.
All the time. And look, it's not that Facebook is writing the articles, right? It's just that people who are using Facebook are distributing it. Now, the one thing I would say that should give some hope to those of us who care and like the media as a whole is that when people are polled, it still shows that 60-something% of them view mainstream media organizations as either credible or very credible. Now, 60-something% isn't where you'd hope it would be, right? You'd hope you'd be in the 80s and the 90s. But it's, high 60s, which says that there's only a minority of people who say, I can't believe anything that comes from the mainstream media. The mainstream media has problems, real issues, but it's not that you can equate mainstream media coverage with fake news.
So what do you think? I mean, we were just talking with our panel, but what do you think in the era of Trump, a journalist's challenge is going to be? How do you cover him? That's what everyone asks.
Well, look, you cover him the way you cover anyone else. The problem is twofold. Number one, he has such disdain for the media. And when I say for the media, for anyone who criticizes.
That's right.
Right? If you criticize Donald Trump, you're the enemy.
That's why I keep saying the New York Times is not going to be happy. And Donald Trump is not going to be happy with them either.
That's right. But look, this is great for the New York Times, by the way. It's going to make them the voice to take on Donald Trump. He's going to keep giving them publicity. What Donald Trump did for Vanity Fair, by talking about this failing magazine, this suddenly Vanity, oh yeah, what's Vanity Fair up to these days?
The name is in your head, right. Oh my God, J-Lo, I love her.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing when Donald Trump blasts you because he blasts everybody. But from a journalistic point of view, you got to call him out when he's saying things that aren't true. And you know what? If he attacks you, if he insults you, I don't think it's a journalist's responsibility to just sort of sit there and go, well, Donald Trump is attacking me, and I'm not going to say anything. Honestly, I think the way you handled the attacks was ideal. I think that you sort of serve as the model. And I don't say that because we're here. I'd say this to someone else who'd ask me. And the reason for that is because you got to walk a line between not letting it impact you and saying, I'm still going. I'm still going to attack him. I'm still going to challenge him, but I'm not going to do it any more than I would have.
That's right.
If this hadn't happened.
I'm going to be fair. But I will say, just for the record, it can't be, as much as he came after me, that causes a real danger in people's lives. It did in mine. I work for a news organization that has a lot of money and hired me guards, and I was safe. But if he did this to somebody who wasn't in such a fortunate position, it would have real First Amendment implications. And we as media people need to keep an eye on that. That's not fair to the individual reporters.
Oh, and just as important as that is this idea that suddenly you're going to start punishing certain media organizations because they publish things you don't like. I mean, the Washington Post getting banned from covering the Trump campaign. What?
Right.
I mean, that is complete.
But it happened time and time again. It started with Des Moines Register, and down the line it went without many people complaining. And then, you know, now it's a slippery slope.
But that's a constitutional violation.
Absolutely.
That's not right. Okay.
And he is the son of Floyd Abrams, who is the First Amendment expert of them all. He'll be here in the spring talking about his new book.
Yeah.
Great to see you, Dan.
Yeah, good to see you.